Well, welcome back. Futures indicating a slightly higher opening this morning as we wait and watch election results and look ahead to the October Consumer Price Index this Thursday. The Dow Industrials right now up 43. The S&P is up 4.25, and the NASDAQ is higher by 35. Investors are expecting a rally in stocks if the Republicans take back the House and the Senate. That would be divided government, and that means no new taxes for at least 2 years. Joining me right now is Mahoney Asset Management CEO Ken Mahoney. Ken, great to see you this morning. What are you expecting in terms of a result and the impact on markets?
Well, I'm amongst friends here today, right? So I'm going to use the capital L for landslide, okay? And the seeds were planted a couple years ago during the presidential election. If you look at that night, you know, most Americans kind of voted middle left, middle right. They didn't really vote far left or far right. But again, progressives only won a few seats that night. If you kind of look and start digging into the numbers, most Americans are not far right, far left. But what does Joe Biden do? He goes AOC far left. He didn't have a mandate. I mean, really, the House had 5 seats, majority. I mean, that's the narrowest of wins in 90 years. That, of course, the Senate is tied. And the reason why we're here today is he didn't read the room very well. Okay, Americans didn't want this policy, and these policies have led to high inflation and everything that you said before because of the policy, not because of messaging. And people are really sick of the Pinocchio nose going, lying, constant lying. We're here because of these far left type of proposals that have not worked. And by the way, there's going to be a huge power vacuum for the Democrats. I suspect after this, a lot of finger pointing. I would think Pelosi probably will retire. Janet Yellen may be sent out to pasture as kind of a scapegoat. And Biden, I believe in the first quarter next year, will probably say he will not run a second term. So there's going to be a huge power vacuum there. It's a nice win for middle Americans who don't believe in crime. We have 25, 30 priors and, teaching 5-year-olds about sexual identity. All the above. The independents that swept Trump in are now going to sweep in more moderate candidates.
Yeah, I agree with all that. So the big picture is divided government means no new taxes for 2 years and no more fiscal stimulus, which, of course, would be helpful for the Federal Reserve, Liz Peek, since it's been the Fed, the only one working to get inflation down.
Yeah, so I think the biggest question is what can Republicans do, to continue the rally? I mean, what should they be talking about? And I'm really leading up to saying, what if they talk about extending the Trump tax cuts? Would that be a boost to the market? Is that something you think investors would applaud? Because I think they will be talking about that.
Right. I think investors will applaud that. Though I think the biggest issue we have in this country is that we went from energy independent to energy dependent in about 19 minutes with this administration. And everything you just spoke about, last week, solidifying their stance. I really think if Republicans can kind of get there and say, look, I understand we want to get to renewables. All of us do. But there's going to be a transition. And maybe Republicans can lead the conversation about, hey, we can actually have both. We don't have to put a crosshair, so to speak, on oil. We can kind of manage both. So why taxes, I think, are important. It's not important to the working class. To the working class, Republicans will hold on to this, I believe, is coming with more solutions that actually takes renewables and fossil fuels together in some type of meaningful transition.
Yeah, it's a great point because it's really the energy policy that will get moved the most in terms of what we could see from the Republicans who want to open up the spigot and actually get business back. The first polls tonight close at 6 p.m. 42 million plus votes have already been cast. Give us the big picture, Mark.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I think right now you've got a Republican House already being priced into the market. That's the likely outcome. As far as betting odds go, a Republican Senate is the likely outcome, but I don't believe that is priced into the market yet. If and when that happens, which could potentially take a little bit of time, as we know we have to count these mail-in ballots, I think you could see a pop in some very specific sectors like oil and gas, maybe biotech, financials, where there would be less regulation. Ken, question to you. How do you think you should play this, assuming there is a red sweep?
I think you mentioned it. I think energy, fossil fuels. Look, Exxon's making new highs every day. I know it feels like a crowded trade, but that's where money's going. Look, money's going out of big tech. We saw it a couple of weeks ago through their earnings. Each one of them got beat up, Meta, Amazon, and so forth. So money's going to energy. As you mentioned, financials, lower regulation. I think, look, we're going to try and bring this country more towards the middle, and that's going to favor pretty much almost every sector if you look at it. But particularly financials and energy would be the big winners if the Senate would also flip to Republicans as well.
Yeah, I mean, some senators who've joined me are talking about up to 54 GOP seats in the Senate. Right now, the base case looks like 52. It's still going to be real close. We'll be watching that. Ken, good to see you. Thanks very much. Ken Mahoney this morning with the market trading up.